The night clock felt like it stopped, and the old graveyard beside the school was not sleeping at all. The graves were breathing, and shadows were walking, and I was on guard duty, and the door was locked, but cold air still came inside, and the smell of dirt entered from the classroom window, and some broken bell-like sound touched my ears. When I stepped into the yard, the grass wrapped around my shoe, like someone grabbed my ankle, and I lit a lamp, and the light made strange words appear on the chalkboard, and the letters were upside down, and my name was written with a date, and the date was today. I rubbed my eyes, and the letters stayed, and outside, between the graves, fog was floating, and in the fog, school bags were floating, and the chains of the bags moved, and someone was moving them. But no one was seen, and the sound of soft steps came closer and closer. In the school gallery, fresh shoe marks were on the floor, and there was no rain. So how were the marks wet? And the marks were going to class 5B, and the door was half open, and I entered, and there were no names on the chairs, because every chair had a gravestone on it, made of marble, and under every child name, it was written present. My throat choked, and I stepped back, and the blackboard started moving on its own, and the chalk wrote without a hand, present teacher. Then again, present teacher. Then again, present teacher. I tried to close the door, but someone inside held it, and I saw no one. Yet the hold became strong, and I pulled, but the door did not move, and I heard a dry fabric sound in the gallery, like sand crawling inside clothes, and I took out my key, and the key was cold, and my skin turned cold too. A sound came from the graveyard, and I went to the window, and a small grave had a soft light that moved like a heartbeat, and I stepped outside, and the wall was low, and I came into the grass, and someone called my name, and the voice came from that small grave, saying, "Teacher, why are you late?" I froze, and the grave name was Sophia, and I knew that name in my register, because that girl went missing last month, and they said she changed home, but the truth was buried here. And the grave moved a little, and soil rose, and a tiny hand came out, and pointed at my lamp, and the lamp blew out, but darkness still saw me. All graves started moving together, and the words on the stones changed, and with every name, a line appeared saying, "We are trapped in class, our bell never rang." The graveyard wall and the school wall became one, and the path between them vanished, and I wanted to step back, but my heels sank, as if held from beneath. The fan in the gallery was stopped. Then it started without electricity, and whispers mixed in its noise, saying, "Take attendance, teacher," and the register in my pocket shook, and I opened it, and the pages were black, and then faces appeared in the ink, and their eyes were open, and counting me, 1, 3, 4, and they stopped, then called my name, present or absent. I moved my lips, and no sound came, and cold mist rose from the graves, and children sang inside the mist, a song like celebration, but every line had a hidden thorn. They sang, "This school is our home, and home has locked the doors," and the boards flipped, and became benches, and the benches became coffins, and every coffin opened a little, and school bags were inside, and bones knocked inside the bags. I tried to run, but my feet refused, like someone else took control inside me, and I touched my pulse, and the pulse was the school bell ringing, and the bell rang, and the graveyard answered, and the ground sank a little, and the windows were sweating, and the maps on the wall fell, and red lines appeared on every map, and the lines came to my feet, and made a circle to trap me. Inside the circle, wind moved, and outside everything froze, and the wind tasted like ashes of old books, and bitterness spread on my tongue. And from a grave, chalk sound came, and the chalk was in a hand that was not seen, and it wrote on soil, "Sir, we remember the lesson. Do you remember your lesson?" I bowed my head, and I remembered the fire 1 year ago in this school, and that night. I was the only guard, and it was me, and the children stuck behind the door, and I tried to find the key, but I was late, and I saved the files, and the children turned into smoke, and the graveyard gave them a bed, and the school gave me a job, and silence covered my crime. And tonight, silence was gone. The mist held my hand, and soft bones were inside, and the girl voice came again. Sing, sir, take attendance. We are present. What is your name? And I shook, and the register opened by itself, and the last page was blank. Then it wrote my name, and a gravestone rose from ground with my name, and the date was today, and under it was written absent. My sight darkened, and the shadows came close, and every shadow was a child, and every child held a school key like mine, but with fresh rust, and they waved the keys, making a rhythm, and the breathing of earth became fast, and the sky bent low, and the tree branches hit the windows, and dusty light came out from inside the rooms. I tried to step out of the circle, and the circle became fire without heat, and the fire patted me, saying, "Not yet," and from the graveyard gate came a figure, the old guard woman, and people said she never missed duty, and her eyes were like bowls of ash, and she held my hand and said, "Come, class will start." She took me back to class 5B, and the benches were coffins and shadows of children sat on them, and all eyes stared at my palm, where the lines of my name crawled like worms, and the woman took the chalk and wrote in the air. The name of the lesson was Forgiveness, and she said, "The lesson is taught every day. Those who do not learn sit behind the graves. Those who learn become the school bell, the bell that wakes others or puts them to sleep." I gathered courage, and I said, "Present," and my voice came back, and the wall answered softly, and the graves grew calm, but one grave still moved softly. It was Sophia's grave, and I bent close, and she whispered, "Sir, your key is with me. The key in your pocket never opens the door. This one opens it," and she placed the key in my hand, and it was warm, like it just came out of a living heart. I ran toward the gate and reached the lock, and the key bit my palm, and blood came out, but the ground drank it, and the lock opened by itself, and the road was not empty, because fresh footprints of children were going from the graveyard toward the city, and the city was sleeping, and no bells were ringing anywhere. I looked back, and the school building was breathing, and windows had eyes, and the graveyard wall grew flowers of red, like someone wrote an announcement on them, and the announcement shined, saying, "Morning assembly will happen," and I wondered when morning comes, because here, night stops, and time forgets how to move forward. I did not lock the gate, and kept the key in my hand, and the heartbeat of the key matched my pulse, and I stepped toward the city, and behind me, a bell rang soft, then loud, then suddenly silent, and silence grabbed my ears and said, "Remember the lesson. If you forget, then attendance will happen again, and next time, there will be less space behind the graves for you." I walked fast, and the wind did not tear the last page of the register. It only wrote a new date, and I wrote under my name, "Present and far away." Sophia laughed, like a stone falling into water, making circles, and I looked at the sky, and the sky blinked, and the school held its breath, and the graveyard put a hand on its pillow, and the path became straight to lead me into the city.